we can start, we are going to invite someone from the choir to come over and then to open this service with a word of prayer.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we just want to thank you for today. We honor you, God, for this day that you have brought us together. It's a great, Father, opportunity to be here. I want to pray, Father, that you're going to be with us for everything that's going to take place here, God. We need you, Father, in these days, Father, to honor this day of this refugee summit. So we honor you. We thank you for all you're going to do today. In your mighty name we pray. Amen.
Amen. So before we can move on, we are going to invite our sisters to come over, and then we are going to all stand, and we are going to sing this song alone. Thank you very much. So as all know, today we are celebrating the World Refugee Day. And as you know, the name refugee has different definition from different people. Each one take it the way he want to define this word. And for myself, I like the definition of a refugee as someone who was given a chance to live, a second chance to live. Because if you can see the thing that we went through and be able to reach this country is not easy. I remember I was talking to one of my friends who is American and was just sharing the stories, and he told me that if I were you, I think I could die because I'm not good on running. And I told him that it was not like about knowing how to run, but it was about being given a second chance to live. Because if it was about running, the people who were ahead of us, they could not die. You were running, and some people in front of you is shot, and you keep running. So that means that if it was about running, the one who was behind could die first. So I told him that it was just like a matter of being given a second chance to live. And this is why almost of the time we do come together to celebrate this day. And sometimes I don't know how I can say this. It's very hard to understand for some refugees who do not understand the value of this name. For real, I know that we get this name from different situations that we went through, but somehow we have to stop and then think how far this name have brought us. I know that many of us, refugees, Some of us, they are the first one in their family to drive a car, just through this name. And some people, they are the first in their family to attend the university through this name. And there are a lot of things can be said about this name. And then when we are asked to come together and to celebrate this name, and then people, they are like, just like, sometimes I cannot understand it. And this is a message for our dear refugees. We do not have to wait other people to come to organize this day for us. We have to understand that this is our day. It's the only day that we have a year that we can come together and to celebrate, to be able to tell stories, to be able to let other people know the things that we went through. Not because those stories are good stories. I know that they are bad stories, but we know that from these bad stories we are very stronger. We are stronger through these stories. Sometimes it's very hard to tell them, because when you are speaking, when you are telling this story, you just, your mind just recall, and just like those things were happening yesterday. And sometimes some of us, they start crying. So it's not something that you're happy to talk about, but you have to. And these bad stories, they make us stronger and stronger. So we should be happy to come together and to celebrate this day, which is the World Refugee Day. And I know that no one is going to say the opposite. This is only the one name that we have that unites us. I remember when I was in Tanzania, I was working for people who know Tanzania, from Kibirizi to go to Mwanga. There was a guy who was in front of me, and I was in the middle, someone was behind, and another person was behind. So the one who was behind was a police officer. So he saw us all three walking. So he was questioning himself and said, these guys are not Tanzanian. So he wanted to make sure if we were citizen or not. So he didn't call our names because he didn't know us. He just called one name. And he said, refugee. So all of us, we did turn around. And he asked us to stop. And when we stopped, all the three, the one who was behind me, he was from Rwanda. I was from Congo. The one who was in the back was from Burundi. And I said, oh man, how? They just called refugees, and all of us were caught. So just because all of us, everyone knows that I'm a refugee, but from different countries. So this only name that we have that can put us together. Remember, in refugee camp, we didn't have a camp for only Congolese. We didn't have a camp for only Rwandese. We didn't have a camp for only Burundis. So we have the camp for all refugees. And we did live in those camps as brothers and sisters. So why not we can be able to come together and celebrate these days? Why not? We do not have to wait for anyone to come to organize this day for us. So we have to take the charge to be able to organize this day and to talk about ourselves. So we are very thankful for these people who did feel okay to come to celebrate this day with us, especially Americans. We are truly happy to be with you here. And I will say thanks to this country and thanks to the people who have said yes for us to come here, especially for Iowa, for fully embracing us. This is a chance. And my dear refugees, you have gotten the chance to be next to the right person. Because I know that we are many. People have spent 10 years, 20 years in the refugee camp, and then when they took the plane to come to the United States, they were very happy, knowing that they are going to enjoy life. But many of us, the time we are talking, they are in prison just because they met wrong people. So they show them the wrong things to do. And at the end of the day, they were caught, they're in prison. So if you have the chance to be next to a right person, you have to take advantage. So thank you very much for coming, and we say welcome to everyone. And before we are going to ask people who are going to speak, as I said, before you can get to the place where you are going to get this name, refugee, because you don't get it easy. You have to come from one place to another before you can get it. And we know that many people, they wanted to get this name. Many of us, they want to get this name. But many people, they didn't make it. They died in the way. Many people died in the way. So they didn't have the chance to get to the place where they can be able to be called a refugee. But the will was to get to that place, but they didn't get a chance to get there. So they died in the way. So we are going to stand, and then we are going to take 1 minute just to remember all those people who have passed away through different wars, not only refugees, but even for the people who do work with the UN. We know that there are many people from the UN who have lost their life just because they wanted to help us as a refugee, and they did lose their life. And when I came to this country, I said, oh man, how someone can just leave this country and say, just have like the will to go to help someone at a danger place. So we are going to stand, and then let us take just 1 minute to remember all those people who have lost their life.
So good afternoon. My name is Jim Olson. I'm a board member of the United Nations Association chapter here in Johnson County. We're very happy to be able to participate in this event and to welcome you and to join in this community observance of World Refugee Day, which marks the anniversary of the UN Convention on Refugees and the founding of the Office of the UN High Commissioner for Refugees. Our association is a movement of people in the United States who support the work of the United Nations and want the United States to take leadership in the United Nations, including support for the several UN agencies who help refugees around the world. I know that many of you are here today because the UN High Commissioner for Refugees provided relief to you and began the process by which you were resettled here in the United States. So that's an example of the important work which the UN does every day. So congratulations to refugees. We admire your strength, your courage, your resilience, and we look forward to a very interesting and inspiring afternoon.
Mr. Representative of the General Secretary of United Nations, Mr. Representative of United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, Mr. Governor of the State of Iowa or his representative, distinguished guests in whichever titles or statute is here represented, different communities and delegations present. Today, all over the world, we celebrate much emotion and compassion the Day of the Refugee. As a reminder, this celebration was instituted by the adoption of Resolution 5576 on December 4th, 2000 by the General Assembly of United Nations in solidarity with Africa, which shelters the largest number of refugees in the world. In effect, forced by different causes such as war, conflict, persecution, and so on, men and women, children and the elderly from different nations find themselves cut from their territory, their culture, environment, their people and nation, and are forced to pass the rest of their life far from their friends and brothers, far from their land. Some will never again see their land, and some will never see their dear ones. Forced to lead a nomadic life. What disillusion! Before this horrible situation of persecution, everyone has the right to seek and enjoy asylum in other countries. Article 14 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. According to the latest report of United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, the number of refugees, asylum seekers, and internationally displaced persons exceeds for the first time. Indeed, 51.2 million people were in a situation of forced displacement at the end of 2013, which exceeded 6 million more than the 45.2 record in 2012. Enough is enough. However, making these own words of Holy Scriptures, let our refugees to stay with you, you offer them shelter against the destroyer. Isaiah 16:4. We hope that their troubles will talk about the barely endured to countries or nations that can offer them new hope of life. Yes, the refugees are in search of protection and benevolence in order to rebuild their lives, but in reality, they often face exclusion. Indeed, they are largely ignored, marginalized, and often stopped at their borders. Therefore, we're taking this opportunity, we would like to thank the United States government for its openness to many Christ's call of refugees from all around the world. On those part who throughout the world, fleeing war, conflict, persecution, violence, oppression, we invite you all to tribute in prayer times and organizing cultural activities between countries represented here. You give us an opportunity to integrate ourselves into the daily life of this country. We wish to see this kind of activities and others like it more frequently so as to facilitate these exchanges between communities. I cannot end this speech without saying a word of thanks to our dear parents for their effort to endure the hard times past and their way fleeing their countries of origin. Glory to be God, because we, children of refugees and immigrants, are able to live and expect a better future. And finally, do you know how many refugees are abused in our nation and all around the world? On this occasion, let us also remember those refugees who are sick, abused, unhappy, and sometimes killed innocently. To remember those hearts, I invite you all to stand and observe 1 minute of silence in their memory. Thank you. You may all be seated. God bless the Eastern Iowa Alliance. God bless the refugees wherever they are in the world. God bless United States of America. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you guys are not tired. You guys are not hungry. I am hungry, but I'm not tired. Do you know the reason why I'm hungry? Because before I tell you why, let me touch about the sport. I wish these players were here. As a coach, Sudanese coach, I have a team. I would like to say sorry for the Liberians and Togolese because they didn't make it the first. And I would say the Congolese, good luck. You were lucky. The Sudanese team were not there. The message that I would like actually to convey to these players, there are thousands, if not millions, of the same players who are in the camps, who love soccer and other sports. They couldn't make it. They are playing soccer naked. They only have like shorts. They don't have shirts. They don't have like soccer shoes. They don't have socks. What I would like actually to tell the organizers, if they could tell these players, gather together, collect these items, send it back to any one of the camps in Africa so they can be proud of you. And you touches my heart. She is strong, she is powerful in words, she is courageous, she is good in public speaking. If she can do it, I wish there were like 500 kids, because I would love to encourage them. If she can do it, the rest of the kids of the refugees' parents could do it too. Because they're lucky, they got that opportunity to get that knowledge, to get that education from the best school in America. We as parents of refugees managed to make it to the United States of America. And I wish the kids who are looking at me to remember this moment. One of their uncles, one of the refugee advocates, encourage you not to stop from high school. Please, keep on. It's not easy, but you will be proud, and it pays back. These are the two areas that I would like to touch before I start my speech. And you might say, you didn't start yet? Yes, I didn't start yet, because it is a refugee day. This is like a long trip, long journey. So I touched the sport, and I touched that speech. First of all, let me thank West High School for hosting this day here. It is not easy. It is not easy actually to find place, even though I was expecting these seats to be full of people, not to mention some of them will be outside. If I ask the question, what happened? I don't know. Where did the refugees go? It is Saturday. Let us say out of 500, at least 100 should have actually be in this place. They have their own excuses. I don't know what. But let us plan for next Refugee Day. Better planning, with better media, and I hope the next Refugee Day wouldn't be in Ramadan. That being said, I told you earlier I'm hungry because of fasting. The Sudanese players couldn't make it because they are fasting. If, and this is if, we make it in a time where they're not fasting, I hope there will be a cup. That cup, I would be sign it, hand it over to the Sudanese team. Dear refugees' families, ladies and gentlemen, amigos and amigas, hola. Salamu, habari. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom. American people are very generous. People are humanitarian people. You know why? Because of the taxpayers. If you ask yourself, how did I get here? Who decide for us as refugees to come here? It is not American government. It is not the UN. It is American people. If you look at the budget in the UN, how much American people, I can say American government, but the money is actually coming from the pocket of the American people. They paid that money. The money is taking care of those who are in the camps. For some who are not in the camps, they are still getting that money. And that money is taking care of educations, taking care of the health, because while you are a refugee, you are sick. You got to be treated. There are doctors who are treating the refugees over there. There are some crises. I can give you an example in South Sudan, when the vice president of South Sudan disagreed with the president, Salva Kiir was trying to keep the power. Dr. Riek Machar took the arms. People of South Sudan take a refuge. Look at this. Take a refuge within their country in the refugees' camps. Many refugees were affected. Some of them were killed, some of them were injured. And this is one of the sacrifices, one of the hardship we as refugees go through. Coming to America, our wishes for everybody. I remember my friend John Paul when he mentioned it is about a second chance. Ask yourself, what are you going to do with this second chance that you are lucky enough to get it, and your brothers and sisters who are in the camp who couldn't even find water to drink? Please utilize that second chance. Parents, talk to your kids. Tell them, yes, we come to America, but before we come to America, we were refugees. We were suffering. We were going through a lot of hardship. Don't mess up with your future. America has a bright future for the young generations. And you young generations, you are here listening to me. I want you to pass it over, please. Tell your classmate, tell your cousins. One of my uncles or one of the Sudanese community, on the day of the refugee, he mentioned that. You guys gonna actually be representative one day in UN. Yes. And actually, I mean it. You can do it. The other thing is, I'm very proud. I was working in the office of NGO under the umbrella of UNHCR, helping the refugees. Suddenly, I became a refugee. Yeah. From Sudan, helping the Eritrean refugees in the eastern Sudan, because of all the reasons makes you flee, you are forced to leave everything. You look for your safety. I end up being as a refugee. I go through what I go through, but one of the things that I would like to share you with. A friend of mine gave me a recommendation so I can go and tell my story in order to be admitted or accepted, not rejected. While she was going through that letter, she looked at me twice. I said, yeah, I knew what she was going through, these words. Yes, I was serving the same way how you are, but now the coin is turned. I'm in a position of refugee, and I'm not ashamed. I'm proud, and I want you all to be proud when you were carrying that bag, which has written IOM. That's your protections. That's your entry gate to enter to any one of the resettlement countries. I don't want to actually go on and on and on because, to be honest with you, I have a lot of story to tell, and everybody has a story to tell. But I would like actually to thank you for taking this moment, coming to this place in order to send a message. Lastly, the American people say their words, did their deeds, which is they pay the taxes. You came here, and you get that opportunity. I wish this hall was full. I would ask you only one question. It is not easy to give because you are giving from your pocket. It is from the budget of your family for your retirement. It is counted. My question for those refugees, and let me just visualize myself as if everybody is sitting here. What are you going to do for the refugees that you leave them behind? I will beg, if they could hear me, just go home, think of something little, send it to any one of the organizations that can send it to any one of the camps. It doesn't have to be in your country. It will reach one of the refugees and they will be proud of that. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a moment which I said earlier, she touches my heart. Let us come together as refugees, as American citizens in Iowa City, Johnson County, to do something more for the refugees who couldn't make it. That being said, I wish I didn't actually take long, but I have a gentleman here who I was trying to figure out like what kind of introduction that I can introduce, because he's full of a lot of stuff, full of education, full of experiences. I wish I were in his feet. I'm very proud of him. I'm glad actually he made it. Next year, let us make sure we have more like him. And I would love to see from the female side. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome Delphine Kuboa. I hope I pronounce it right. So you can come and give a speech to the refugees people, to your community. You are welcome, Delphine.
Thank you. Thank you. So it's always hard, very challenging if you have to speak after a very powerful, strong speaker and articulate man, especially with somebody with a soft voice like mine. But I'll try. I'm here to share my story as a refugee. And when I was told about this summit being put together by this community here in Iowa, I said, wait, I live in California, but it's worth for me to travel to Iowa to share my experience as a refugee. I look back 25 years ago when I first came to this country. It was a long journey, and it's continuing. But I say, well, it's worth a story to tell. And I say, I'll be there. They didn't believe until when I told them I'm at the airport. I told you I'll make it. Thank you very much for the opportunity to stand here and to share my experience. So with that, so a refugee is a journey. It's a long journey. Jean-Paul touched it very well. This journey is full of struggle. It's a journey of struggle for survival. Like if you see the color, I went online and said, what kind of color I can try to share and visualize this life experience? It's just like a duck when you're running, like Jean Paul said it earlier, when you're running, you know only when you're coming from, right? But you don't know where you're going. That's the life of a refugee. When they flee their country, when they are forced to flee their home country, they don't know where they're going. It's dark. And that experience has a different milestone in life. If you made it to the border, to cross the border to the next neighboring country, you are there in a refugee, you live in a refugee camp for X number of years. You don't know what the future holds for you. You're just like in the dark. You're just sitting there doing nothing. Until when you are told that you're going to be resettled in USA, in Canada, anywhere else. But you can't see what is ahead of you. It's dark. When you come to this country, when you land into this great country, it's still dark as a refugee. The first day, you jump in an airplane, you're happy. When you land, the next day, you have no idea. And especially for us coming from French-speaking countries, you have to go through a traumatic experience of learning the new language. Learning the language, learning the culture. And I remember my experience. My first weeks, you go out. I was in San Francisco in California. By the end of the day, you feel that it's painful in the chest because you've been trying to speak and express yourself in a way nobody can understand what you're talking. And you made it the next day and go back again. So it's a journey of struggle and for survival. It's really a story worth to tell. Now, if you see these different, I don't know if you can easily see the pictures I have here. Can you tell what these people have in common here? Can anyone tell what these people have in common? Yes? They're taking a direction where they don't know destination. They're just fleeing their home countries. Where I'm looking at this one, they buy food, they have cars, they have bikes. They're just running. They don't know where they're going. And in that experience, they are forced. It's not that it's their choice. They are forced to leave. They are forced to flee their home countries. They don't know where they are going. It's dark. They just run. They can see where they're coming from, but they are running. That's the kind of experience. And this experience, I wish the young players who were here, I wish they're still in the room. Because I remember in my days when I came here 25 years ago, I was lucky to just walk into one of these kind of summit, and I sit there, I listen to people talking about the different story of refugees. It light up my life. So, one day I can do something in this country. So I feel so that those young people couldn't wait and listen to my story of my experience. Because I remember when I came to this country, I was just most of the young people I saw here age. So why do these people really leave the country? It's yes, they leave the country because they are forced. They are totally forced to leave the country. It's not by choice. And the different reason why they are forced, they just feel that they need to go seek for protection. Okay, like the earlier speaker mentioned about the UN, the mission of the UN. Okay, and it's there. That's the kind of service they provide every day to these people who need that kind of service. They need to seek for protection for various reasons, like a young lady mentioned about it. Whether it's war, persecution, violence, it's just got to the point where they have nowhere than seek for this kind of protection, and they have to seek for a better life. It's a second chance. Jean Paul mentioned about it. how they're flying. So maybe it's second chance to live, survive, and see what that's going to open. But still scary. Even you see they're running, but they don't know where they're going. You see this whole, it's a long column of people going. This is like experience of people in one of those conflicts in Eastern Congo, in Goma. They're just fleeing and they don't know where they're going. They're leaving everything behind. And some of them trying to carry the mattress on the head and so on so they can have somewhere to sleep or the food. They don't have the bags and so on. That's the kind of life of refugees. Yeah, with that, it's why do, I think early speakers mentioned about it, why do we celebrate this Refugee Day? It's really to try to honor the strength, the courage, and determination of these people who are fleeing the country, leaving their home countries. They don't see, it's dark where they're going, but they have that courage to continue, okay? And the different stop, whether it's until they made it to the next country, the border of the neighboring countries. And when they get there, they continue there. Unfortunately, some of them die in the camp and so on. And they come to this country, they continue. And that experience, it's worth some time to take this kind of time and share and say, those are very brave women and men. And also, we want to learn more about the refugee life experience. Many people in this country, they have no idea what that feels like. It's an opportunity to share with that community. Hey, we're coming from different background, different experience of life. We're glad to be here, but they don't have that opportunity to. It's a kind of the opportunity for them to understand the challenges refugees go to, and they appreciate also the refugee contribution to the society, the local community. So. Nobody can deny, and this is the well-known documented research found it that in this country and like anywhere else in the world, the refugees contribute a lot to the countries. And probably one of the reasons this is one of the great nations in the world is the more welcoming countries to refugees than any other countries. When you see some of the numbers, you'll see why people claim that. So, refugee to USA, yeah, like I said, they contribute to the economy. And one of the reasons they do, in most cases when they come here, we come with different experience and different background. And that experience can get us a job. We end up to take any kind of job. And we still pay tax. My introducer mentioned about it. Who really support the refugees is the government, but that budget comes from taxpayer dollar, okay? So we pay tax, and like everybody, we do those kind of job. I remember my first job in this country, first jobs, I was a janitor, dishwashers, caregivers, and all kind of those jobs. And when I look back and say, wow, it was a journey. And I'm glad that experience, I share it with my kids every time and say, hey, life is wonderful, but you can't believe where I started in this country and where we are today. Yeah, of course, those refugees, it doesn't end. In most of them, it doesn't end to those first jobs. We take any kind of job, okay? But in most cases, some of us excel. Yesterday I was here, one of the keynote speakers, she was a former member of Congress here in Iowa from Bosnia. Yeah, that was the kind of experience. Some of those refugees, she shared her experience when she came here with her parents at 7 or under 10. So some of them, they excel. They become doctors, nurses, social workers, engineers, all kind of professional. So you see them today, when they first arrive, you'll be surprised. 5 years, 10 years later, you go to your doctor's appointment, you find your refugee is the one who's going to treat you. It's true, right? I can tell you that from my experience. My family joined me 20 years ago. My son, he was 7, he's a doctor today. He's a medical doctor. and it's that's kind of a refugee. So when he first came, and so I ran into one of the refugee resettlement program that helped me bring my family, and the lady asked me, "How's your boys?" I said, "Well, yes, they're doing good. One of them just graduated medical school." "What? Really?" I said, "Yes." That little boy said, "Yes, he's a doctor today, practicing at the University of California in San Diego." So we take all those kind of jobs, and we pay taxes, we contribute, and some of us excel. And we just have to know that what we see today is dark ahead of us. We continue running. That's courage. That's determination. When we flee the countries, we don't know where we're going. Jean Paul mentioned, some of us don't make it. They shoot. You don't know who's going to take it. It doesn't matter you are the one in the first, behind on the front. If you are lucky to make it, continue. So you continue and that's the kind of life in this country. So here's my really experience, my stories. I was a student at a university in my country, one of the biggest university in the city of Lubumbashi. And we noticed that some of the students were kidnapped on campus. So as a student, we decided to organize a protest, just like any other places you see. And the government decided to send soldiers to kill students. And I was lucky to be one of those who made it to flee to the next countries that year. So I found myself where my parents sent me to go to school, and I found myself without seeing my family in a neighboring country in Zambia as refugees. So the whole camp was full of student refugees, because it was like everybody just full. It was like 10,000. And the government did not stop there. It started sending again people to come to kidnap some students in those refugee camps. So to seek for protection, I continue my struggle for survive, seeking for protection. And I found up in my second countries, seeking protection again in Botswana. And a year later, I was fortunate, thank you for the UNHCR, I was fortunate to be settled in these countries. And I went to San Francisco in California. And the journey continued. It's long. I say, well, I remember I was interrupted. It was not my intent. I was forced to leave my country, but my parents sent me to school, was sending me to school to go to, I was in that city to go to school. And I decided again, 1 year later, to go back to school. I attended the California State University in Sacramento, and there I started in 1993. And in 1997, I started working for the state of California software engineer, computer software engineer. So I majored in computer engineering and I started. And the struggle, this journey of refugee continues. Once you are a refugee, you're always a refugee. So it doesn't matter, say you're a refugee one time and you're no longer a refugee tomorrow. 100 years later, it's still going to be, if I get to live that long, still be refugees. So my refugee continued, and 5 years later, I was able to continue, get my master's, and later I was actually recruited at my own colleges and other local colleges in the area to teach part-time computer classes while still continue with my profession with the state of California and doing what I enjoy to do, because that's what I went in school for. That's the most grateful you can. When you go to school and end up to be in the field where you really went for schooling for. And this one, and I'm hoping my next milestone is in this journey as a refugees. And in 5 years, I look at myself as to retire from my profession and maybe go for other vision I have in life. This is a long journey, continue on. So it will be a good 20 or 25 years in the state of service, state service. It's the time for me at that time to call it quit and continue with other goals. So the refugee, they have different experience when they come to this country. They have different background, and those background, and when they are starting from the experience in the refugee camp until they come here, sometimes it can be a contributing factor how they're gonna continue on. But here is one of the great places in the world where it doesn't matter what kind of background you came from, whether you didn't finish high school, you can still achieve the education level, you can still attain the education level of your dream in this country. So we have that opportunity as refugees, and we can continue. Also, as refugees, in most cases, like especially African refugees, you end up to have families are big things. You have family, you have kids, and that's how you're gonna inspire those kids and to stay engaged in school. As a parent, yesterday I attended some of these speakers. They were talking about the challenges of getting refugees, community parents involved in teachers' parent conference, things like that. Some of them lack of language, not understanding why they should be part of the kids' education system, from where they came from, you send the kid to school, they go back, it's the school business. Now here, you have to sit down every day, do homework with the child at night, and so on. So it's that kind of experience we do. And we have to learn that as a refugee in these countries, because we don't have that background where we came from. And it's those kind of things, it's a significant impact to the kids' education success. If you're not part of that, they cannot be successful in this country, where you are called for parent-teachers conference. It's not about how your child did, it's about your parent. This is what I've seen. The kids had incomplete assignment. And it's not about the child, it's you, where were you? And that's kind of thing. And we have to learn that for us as refugees. We don't have that experience. We don't have that background from where we came from. So that's refugee. The integration is the key things for us. In my experience, is two things. As a refugee, first to learn the language. Of course, for most of us, especially coming from the French-speaking countries, your accent will never go away, okay? But you're still gonna have to learn the English. And I tell my students, I say, hey, my accent is my identity. By the time I open mouth, you can tell he speaks with accent. They say, yes, I'm glad to hear that. Even my kids were born here, they tell, Dad, you have accent. I say, yeah, because I'm a refugee. So we still have to do it. It's very critical. It's, of course, once you learn the language, it's boosting your income. So the refugees speak better English can make more money compared to those who don't speak English. And those who learn the language can be a good role model to the kids, for they can be successful in school. And this part the second part is the education. We have to learn the new skill. In most cases, as refugees, we come here, regardless of what kind of diploma, degrees, experience, you still have to start fresh, okay? And the only way, if you had education from your home countries, the school is good because they accept those credentials. But if you go out to work, they will not accept it. So you have to go to learn the new skill, or you're gonna upgrade your existing skill. And that's the only way you can do it better. It helps also to improve your social. So when you get education, it's good. And the culture shock also. Those who are educated is much easier compared to those who don't go to school. Now, look what the number shows. It's a journey. It's not about just one person. It's not about only one person in the room. We have a lot of people. And look, in 2015, in Africa, almost more than 22,000 refugees were immigrating to these countries. And look at these numbers in 2014. And here, I think the cap in those years was about around 70,000 annually. And look here, these numbers. So it looks like it's unfortunate. The number keep increasing. It should be now decreasing, but because the conflict are all over. Today, with the situation of the war in Syria, this number you'll see at the end of the year, in 2017, it will be double. But here, recently, last year, the number shows there were almost, I saw yesterday flyers, about 85,000 refugees were settled into these countries. And about more than 1/3 of them were coming from Africa. So we still have more conflict there. And do you know which part of Africa today where most of those refugees are coming? Anyone can guess? Congo, yeah, that's true. So, so what's your guess of those more than 31,000 from Africa last year? What's your guess how many were from Congo? 8,000. Anyone else can pick a number? 5,000, okay. Closing, anyone? How many? 17,000. So it must be UN, Bod? You are part in here? Yeah, just guess, okay. So that's true, about 17,000 from the Democratic Republic of Congo. That's a lot. That's a lot. And that's continuing. And the second country was Syria. Today, can you imagine, at 2017, probably Syria will have more than 20,000. Oh, right? Yeah, it's going to be a lot. And the other countries on the top 5. Now, look also these numbers. So which USA city has more refugees? Can you guess? Which one? Texas? California? US city, yes. And I didn't say state, just city, yes. Just DC? So in which country where the most refugees came from? Yeah. Yeah, which countries? Most of the refugees. Congo? Burundi? So, okay. So out of time, let's see the numbers. So the largest city has the most refugees in USA. It's Houston in Texas. Look at the numbers. More than 20,000. The next city is Phoenix. Now, somebody mentioned Burundi. Burundi is not even on top 20. So someone mentioned about Congo. Congo is not even on top 20s in the first position. The highest number of refugees was for the last 10 years, 2006 and 16. In Congo, it was the top one was Indianapolis. That was out of 11,000, more than 11,000, we had 500 there. Does this number look correct or not? Well, this is the fact, unless Google is incorrect. So we got also in third position in Atlanta. We have also 1,000, the DRC. So where is Iowa? Everybody said there are so many refugees in Iowa. Where is Iowa in this stat? So can you guess the top state, the 5 top states? Now we're talking the state, not the city. Minnesota? California? New York? Iowa? Where do you think Iowa will rank? What do you think Iowa will rank? Yeah. So some people hit it. The top state will be California. The second, that was 2000 last year. And the second will be Texas, New York, Michigan, Ohio, and so on. So why Iowa is not in the list? Everybody knows there's so many. Why Iowa is not? Huh? Secondary migrant. That's right. That's right. So in Iowa, most of refugees, we have secondary migrants. So they get settled in different states. So they go there. After the first 6 months of assistance, I don't know if they changed it. When I first came, it was 8 or 9 months. How many now? 3 months. Oh my God, 3 months. That's why most of them, they flee so quickly to Iowa now. So they go there, the 3 months is over, where to find a job? No job. So there's no enough resource to support them. When I came, we had 8 months, really to help you get a job training, skill, the language, and so on. And they just say, there's no way I can do it. And what they do is, I was reading the story of one Congolese family in Oregon, 11 kids, and they end up on the street as homeless. I said, oh my God, they don't know about Iowa? What's going on? So, and that's where they come. This is a great place. That's why when I heard about this summit, I said, it's going to be in Iowa? Yeah, I'm going to go there too. I think there's going to be a lot of interesting story to learn from Iowa. So, of course, there's more jobs here. That's attract them as secondary immigration hub. So they come here, they get easily job, and that's, of course, they contribute to the economy of this state, okay? And the experience as success in most of them, they learn the language, they have to learn the language. That's the rule of the game. Otherwise, they have to go to school. The community have to really, if they're gonna want them to bring back to this community, they have really to find a resource to help them go to school and learn this new skill, work and achieve American dreams. I walk around, I was impressed. Many of the people are there. They have the homes and so on. They're working hard, they're buying home. And that's what the story that goes around outside there. Everybody say, you come to USA in the next, within 5 years, you should buy your house. How? You go to Iowa. 2 years, you get it. And they call their friends, say, you still there in California? Yeah, we are here. We have our own home now. So, and that's what happened. Of course, they have to become citizens and give back to the community. And that's the key things. The more refugees are successful in this new homeland, the more they can give back to the local communities. The more they can pay tax, of course. If they make a minimum, they work for minimum pay job, minimum wage, they can only make little taxes out of that minimum wage, right? If they make more, and when I look at my taxes over the years, you say, wow, now it looks like there was that time I was enjoying every year I get a big check from the government. Those days are over. Now I have to give back the government. Now I say, what's going on? I never thought I can. I used to celebrate when it comes April 15. I get a big check from the government. Those days were over. It's time for me to give back. Then I said to myself, this is too much. I said, yeah, we have now to give back. Then I said, how much, if I can't, for the number of years I was getting those checks, and how much now I pay in one single year, I pay back the government. Say, no, I pay double. Yeah. The more successful refugees are, the more they can give back to the community. They can also bring back to their home countries, okay? And it's very important that the community. And that's why, that's the crucial part of local refugee associations. Those refugee associations, they can work as a bridge, okay? That's hey, Bridget, it should be bridge. Sorry. So that she can work as a bridge, okay? I was working at 2 a.m. at night and heavy. So just work as a bridge to the local communities. Those people, they speak the same language as the refugees. They understand the pain of refugees. They share the same experience as the refugees, you know? And they can easily connect with refugees. Now, if you have, I remember during my time, you go to a refugee program office and someone who's not refugees, they ask you a question, if it's suspicious, what they want? They're gonna deport me back? That's the first things come to your mind. They're asking me all of these questions. Maybe they want to deport. I don't want to go back again. Sometimes you feel like you not feel comfortable to tell what they're asking you. Now, it's different experience when they are working with another local refugee assistance program run by refugees or those created by refugees. They feel connected, they feel comfortable, say, okay, yeah. And they can tell their story, and that person can complete the sentence for them. I know what you mean, I understand. And when they share their frustration experience, the culture shock, when they first come here, they can say, you know, I went through the same experience. And you just feel that connection. It's very important, crucial role those associations can play. Now, of course, giving back to the community is crucial. You have to learn to give back, and part of how I gave back to my local community in California, and for 2 terms, we have a Congolese community association that I was fortunate to lead for 2 years, and we accomplished a lot of things. The same concept, how to integrate the newcomers, how to share our experience, how to tell them what it feels like to come to these countries, the culture shock, the language, the learning process, and so on. And remember, you don't see where you're going. You know where you can come in, but ahead is dark. It's for you to continue with the courage and determination. The light's gonna keep coming, and so on. And that experience also, I work also with other fellow Congolese here, and in 2007, we put together a community-based organization back in Congo, and through that organization, we are able to also bring back, give back to our community, our local community, help people, those who cannot, and those who could not make it to this part. And I think in 2000, 1 year after we created that organization, we were able to collect more than 10,000 books from here and ship them to Congo to build local library for school. They didn't have the books. And so we know that it takes to open the kids' mind, you have to read. We went through that experience. And we have to send the book homes and help the kids to read and learn how to read. We also found various micro loans, giving the women some small loan to help the families and say, this is what you can go and continue, help your family going, and we want to check how you're doing, but pay back a little bit to continue to see, so we can assess how the progress you are making. And so we do a lot of things. So that's, I also, in 2010, I was fortunate to also sit together with other Congolese here in the US and say, you know, there's more we can do. The system is what it is. We can't only help this way, we can also help to change the system. And we create a movement, a political movement for change. We call it Party for National Reform. And that movement is trying to see, it's also another way for us how to contribute back to our homeland community. And despite the irregularity in the last election in 2011, we were able to, we won 1 seat. We have 1 seat in the national parliament. And we're hoping in the upcoming election, if they're gonna take place, to do more. And we have offices today throughout the countries in Congos, and also we have representative throughout the world, in USA, in Europe, in Canada, and so on. And that movement is a grassroots movement where we work with various community group. We train young women and men, the value of democracy, what's democracy, and the principle of good governance, and how we can change the system. We also work with other opposition movements to put pressure on the current dictatorial regime. As you know, the election should have happened in Congo last year, and the current president refused to organize the election, and he's talking now that he has committed nothing as far as the election. We can't stop. The journey continues. We're still going to work with other movements to put the pressure, raise awareness of the concern, the welfare of the people in Congo, and the democracy being jeopardized, and so we can eventually have election one day. And so, of course, we hope to participate in when elections are organized again, participate at all levels, national and local level. And we are determined to change the course in Congo. And we hope that as we share this story of our experience, we can continue to count on your support to make this refugee journey a successful story here as well as in the DRC. Thank you very much for your time.
I'm going to start with a poem. Okay. I'm the ugly truth of gunshots and lifeless bodies leaving fear and anger toward loved ones. The only baths I take involve blood. Death cries out my name. Your life could be vain if you don't rep my name. Your parents try to drink me out of their subconscious beings, but after their bloodshot eyes turn clear again, the memories of me still creep in. Who am I? You can call me hate. I'll answer by teaching your kids that they can get away with murder as long as they have the sorry excuse as little as hating the differences of their brothers and sisters in the North. Hutus against Tutsis in the South. Tutsis against Hutus fighting, but the reason's still unknown. Who am I? The many millions of lost souls. Who am I? Genocide. Africa. It's been long, we haven't forgotten about you. America's been taking care of us now. We live to tell the tales, but we sing a new song with voices of love to blow away the hate.
Thank you very much. So we are going to invite Fatima to come over just to say a little thing. Then Brother Ezayi will be closing, talking on behalf of the all organizations created by refugees and immigrants. So let us hear from Fatima, and then Brother Ezayi will come over.
Good evening, and thank you for having me over here today. I'm here just to say some few words that always goes in my mind as an immigrant, come to United States and get second chance to live. I say thank you, Iowa. Thank you for opening your hearts for us. Thank you for opening your schools, your hospitals, your home, and put warm food in our tables. Thank you for comforting us and make Iowa home for us. Because in Iowa, I have my home. In Iowa, I have my friends. In Iowa, we live together. We go to school. We sing together. We live in love. We live in peace forever. In Iowa, I have my people. When I get sick, kind doctors take care of me. In Iowa, I go to school. Nice teachers always help me. In Iowa, we are Muslim, Christian, and Jewish. We live together. We live in love. We live in peace. We live forever. This value, I learned it before coming to the United States, when I worked with American friends, and they teach me the value of giving. I'm still inspired by that value. When I came to Iowa, I find all that welcoming, that hardworking to support us, to be kind to us. That kindness, we don't have it even back home with our own people. Thank you, America. Thank you for giving us second chance to live. This is why I found and create and encourage people to work for peace. This is why I create Art for Peace and try to make this art work as a language to stop all that conflicts over there, to make these people, to make our people refugees. I try to work on that. Conflicts between, I don't call them leaders, but I call them dictators, because they don't care about people. They don't care about humanity. They make people shred around the world, get lost, even killed. But here in Iowa, we get healed. We get healed. We have a home. Please, if you have any skills, come join us for Art for Peace. We use visual art, theater, music to talk to the world, to encourage the world to stop war. We don't need more war. We don't like to buy that machine guns. Please, I encourage everybody in here listening to me right now to take a message and spread it around the world. We need to keep this place safe. We need to hold on in our homeland here in Iowa, make it safe and welcoming, and work hard to give back. And thank you, America. And thank you, Iowa. And thank you for everybody. Work hard to make this happen. And always, they're over there. giving their hands to support us. Thank you.
My name is Ezek Benga, and I am so glad to be here. But I also have a broken heart. I wish the PowerPoint would work so I can tell you a little bit about refugees. I was one of them, and I carried a gun at the age of 13 and 8 months. I went through a lot. My history is only one of the stories of the millions of refugees. I saw women that carried their children that were dying because of hunger. Some of the children run under the bullets. Men were killed like animals. But we are so lucky to get our new home country. But before coming here, our dream is that we are going to a paradise. But it's not the case, because when you move from one area to another, the culture has changed. Sometimes, many things that you do not expect will happen to you. As our brother said, we know where we come from, but we don't know where we are going. This is the case of many refugees. But we are so glad to be here now. When we are here, it is very important for us to know you. And also, it's very important for you to know us. Today, I thought we would have hundreds of refugees that can be here. Unfortunately, this is not the case. Congratulations, and I deeply thank at least refugees that take courage to come together, so through their voice, Iowans can know us better. And I believe when Iowans know us better, we can make a lot of differences. As I'm talking to you right now, there are many refugees that their dream is to have a better life, but the only issue that we have, we don't know how to come together. We don't know how to knock at the door, and sometimes we fail on many other issues. On behalf of refugees that are here, we would like to tell Iowans thank you so much, but we would like to continue to ask you, we know you through your love, we know you through the impact that you make in our life, but we will be very happy if you can enable us to make more difference. Why I did that? Many refugees that are here, when we were back in our home countries, when we were back in other countries and we struggled to get even water to drink, we said one day, if we can get into America, Europe, or a peaceful country, we will be happy. But today, few of us are here, but we forget those we have left behind us. As one of brothers said that there are many children that like to play soccer, but they are not able to get either ball or maybe close to where to play. People don't know us, but they make difference in our life here. How can we use that opportunity also to make impact into our community as well as our homeland? And one of the examples that I will tell you, when we started with Wake Up, we have anything. Up to now, we don't get any money from any agency. But the impact that we make in our community as well as in many countries in Africa, when we explain to you, if I had PowerPoint, I would show you. And I would like to say thank you, you Iowans. You never went to Africa or Asia, but through our histories, you make a difference in our life. Through our histories, you try to build peace for us, and we say thank you. And I highly encourage you refugees, please try to introduce yourself to one of the organizations that we have. There are many things that we can share. There are many things that we can put our voice together and make a difference into the life of our children, even ourselves. Once we do that, we can make impact into our homeland, motherland. So once again, I would like to say thank you, and we really appreciate the way you impact our life. Fellow Africans, fellow refugees, fellow immigrants, let us come together and make impact, clean the path for the new generation and clean the path for our motherland. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'm not sure if this one is on or not. Okay. Thank you very much. I think we are at the end, so we are going to close the service as we did start by just a short word of prayer. We are going to invite Pastor Clement to come over and to close the event by a word of prayer. Welcome, Pastor.
Let's pray. Our dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for giving us this day, that we have all come together to celebrate this day of Refugee Day, where people have come through different nations, part of the world, for the suffering and struggle they have been going through. Lord, you have made it through for those who have come up to this way, as many lost their lives on the way. Father, we thank you for all those who have organized this day. We thank you for all the activities that have been taking place. We thank you for those who did not make it. Hope that next time they will be able to make it, that we can all come together and celebrate this day. It's time we want to part in this place, that your presence may go with each one of us, that we may reach safe to our homes or where we are going. We thank you. Until we meet again, we shall glorify your holy name. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.